All right, do you have the right comp plan to incentivize your sales guys so that they produce and do as much activity and drive as many sales as possible for you, so you know that they're not lazy bums and that there's alignment with the business? If you want that, to know the right comp plan, then maybe watch this video. I'm gonna walk through comp plan structures, and this is what I've learned in my experience in 12 plus years of building businesses and sales teams, 7, 8 figures. So listen to me or don't. But if you want to know how this possibly works to help your sales organization, let's get into it. So I'm gonna get into some different sales comp plan stuff. The first thing we'll talk about is commissions. Then we'll talk about bonuses and structure with that. And then maybe also like the difference between self-generated business, which this is like an activity multiplier, right? So having your guys ask for referrals, for example, to generate business themselves. And then activity, what we can do to add commission and incentive to drive activity, or like the leading indicators to the trailing indicator of more units and more revenue. Having a scoreboard, and then doing recognition. So you wanna have all these components, otherwise some of this stuff might not work for you. Okay, so obviously commission. You can do base plus commission depending on your business and industry. You're gonna wanna stay competitive in terms of the type of talent you can attract, because your comp plan, how good it is going to attract higher or lower talent.
Okay.
Right? So if an on-target earnings is 50 to 100K, probably gonna be an entry-level salesperson. If it's $150,000 base or $200,000 base with OTE of $1 million plus, when now we're talking enterprise, strategic level sales, you're gonna have to have industry experience, maybe a decade of experience. You're gonna have to have a book of business maybe that you're bringing with you. So just realize how you structure the comp plan is going to dictate talent. But when it comes to more or less the high ticket space, or selling services online, whatever, commissions become important. In high ticket, I'm seeing anywhere from 10 to 20%. That's cash collected, right? So you guys are gonna have to decide if cash or contract value makes more sense, right? Because if contract value makes more sense, you need to understand that your cash flow, where if you're gonna pay out on contract value, maybe you pay as the contract or as the payments and invoices are paid, so that way you're on pace with the cash flow, and that incentivizes the salesperson to do a solid sale, so that way they don't have backouts, clawbacks, cancellations, etc. And maybe they're a part of some of the customer support, or they're a part of maybe nurturing that customer and making sure that they're getting value and they're paying. Well then, you can do contract value, but maybe you'll have like a hybrid where you pay based on cash put down and then a percentage of payments as they come in. Or you can just do straight cash because you're trying to incentivize paid in fulls or prepayment, because that way, if you have sales guys, they make a bunch of sales, but they do it on these huge drawn out payment plans, and that's how they're able to close, because they actually don't know how to close and get paid in fulls. Well then obviously you might have a problem there. But think cash collected, and then also be thinking that you have tiers based on volume. So let's just look at cash collected. If you do, let's say under 100K a month in cash collected, then let's say you're at 9% if you do that. But once you go, let's say 100K to 150K, you get to 11. And then let's say when you get to 150K plus, then you get 15%. And you're thinking like, well, gosh, I don't want to pay more with more cash collected. Well, think about it in terms of your marketing customer acquisition costs, because if they're getting the same number of opportunities as other reps, but they're collecting more cash, you're not actually paying out more per sale. You're actually, because they're being more productive with the same number of opportunities. So you're actually just kind of partnering in terms of like the profits at acquisition with the sales rep. And so you have a line incentive there to do that. So hopefully that makes sense. You have like your commissions. Next up then is your bonus structure. The bonus structure, I've moved away from cash bonuses and moved towards increased comms for the next month. So let's say someone is typically at 10%, and let's say you set a stretch goal of 200K in a period. And let's say you guys do monthly periods. So 200K a month, all right, cool. If you do 200K a month, you get a bonus, which means next month, whether you sell 50K or 250K, doesn't matter, but next month, you get to go to 13%. And essentially what you're doing is the activity of this month, they achieve bonus. That means next month, they get to earn more, but now you're driving the activity for next month. Because if you don't do it this way, they're going to have basically like that immediate gratification. And so they're gonna get that cash bonus and be like, whew, man, that was a hard month. You know, I was working so much, but I got my bonus, cool. Next month, man, maybe I'll take my foot off the gas, and because that was really hard, I did a lot of work. Well, now you're like, no, you're gonna make more money on all the business you do next month. And then basically you can continue to roll that forward, and that's gonna drive activity and drive them to continue to push and perform, because now they wanna make money on every dollar the next month that they're gonna generate. So that's important. All right, so that's a way to do bonuses. The other thing is like self-generated business. The way to drive referrals, because I see most businesses do not do good with asking for referrals and creating referrals. Basically, let's say you normally do 10% of cash collected on leads and marketing that you guys provide to the sales team. Well, referral-based sales, let's make those 15% on referral-based sales are on self-generated business. So your marketing team or your business didn't have to pay for any of the leads, didn't have to pay to put calls on the calendar, etc. This is just straight referrals. So now you're incentivizing, ask for referrals because it's a bigger commission. They make more money on referrals. They're gonna wanna ask for referrals now because there's alignment on the incentive versus just being like, are you guys asking for referrals? Ask for more referrals. It's like, okay, yeah, I will, okay. But at the end of the day, they're just gonna sit back and wait for their calendar to fill up and to get more opportunities because they're 1 for 1. But if they're 1.5 for 1, well, of course, now they're gonna ask for referrals. The next thing is activity. So, if, let's say someone's goal is 150K a month in cash collected, well, the leading indicators to that might be, 250 dials a day. Average speed to lead time is, let's say, 2 minutes. And let's say average touches, so the number of contact attempts or contact touches per lead needs to be 8. What you guys can do if you have a proper analytics and dashboard to track this stuff, every time they do 250 dials a day, they get 1 point on an activity scoreboard. Every time their speed to lead on every lead that comes in, if they get it under 2 minutes, because they're not gonna get 100% of the leads, but let's say they get each one, they get another point on this activity scoreboard every time they touch a lead when a lead comes in fresh in under 2 minutes. And let's say every lead in their pipeline that they do 8 touches with, but they're only allowed to touch twice a day, so at least 8 touches in 4 days, they get another point. And so theoretically, and you guys can figure out, okay, if on average a sales rep might get 5 leads, we've got 22 working days a month, so there's 22 possible points on dials. Average speed to lead, they get 5 leads a day, times, let's say, 20 days a month. So there's 100 available points for this one. And then average touches, again, if they get 100 leads a month, then there's another 100 points for this. So there's 122 points available every month.
I suck.
And every time someone gets to, let's say, 80 points, then this is where you can do like a $500 cash bonus for activity. If they get to 120 points, they get $700 cash bonus. If they surpass and they hit a perfect score, then they get a $1,000 cash bonus. And basically you're bonusing the activity, or you're giving commission or whatever you want to call it to the activity. And then you guys have an activity scoreboard for the whole team, so you can align incentive, which then brings us to the scoreboard. So obviously everyone should, have John, Timmy, right, Joe, and then everyone's got, dials, engaged leads, contact attempts, average speed to lead, bookings, shows, closings, cash collected. There should be a scoreboard where every 1 month to date you can see. And then on your weekly L10 with the sales team, you look at that scoreboard and it's like you want to create competition, be like, oh, Joe's falling behind Timmy, right? And then Joe's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get Timmy, right? You want to have a scoreboard just for accountability and transparency with the management team, but also to create competition with your sales team. And then when you guys have winners, you guys need to do sales rep of the year, maybe quarterly your top rep of the quarter, and then monthly your top rep of the month. Do different recognition, you don't necessarily, and if you guys are gonna do stuff, don't do cash or other stuff because they're just gonna lump that in with all the other earnings. This type of recognition, when they're like a top guy, you wanna do things that they wouldn't normally buy with the money, right? So maybe depending on your budget, it's a nice watch, maybe it's a pair of sneakers, maybe it's, you know, tickets to a Mavericks game, whatever it is, like, you know, it's a nice date night for him and his wife. And now these guys wanna perform to be recognized as the top dog and to get something special they wouldn't normally buy on their own with their cash. So there's no right or wrong way to do a comp plan in terms of like how you structure it. There's so many different ways to do it. But what you are trying to do is you wanna make sure you have alignment on incentive, because to get your salespeople to do what you want them to do, they need to know what to do, they need to know how to do it, and they need to know why they should do it. Do they know how to sell? Do they know what they're selling? Do they know their KPIs? Do they know the numbers they're supposed to hit? Because if they don't know their numbers and their KPIs, that's why they're not doing it. If they don't know how, it's like, you know, our dialer is not set up the right way. The CRM is not set up the right way. I don't know how to find leads after they've fallen off, right? I don't know how to book more appointments because I'm not that good at it, right? Well, okay, so then this is training, right? So this would be communication, this would be training, and then the why is they're not motivated to do it. Why? Well, that comes back to the comp plan. And so if you want to get your team to perform, they need to know, you need to communicate the what, which is the KPIs. You need to train them on how to do it. And then you need to have a comp plan to motivate them and align incentives to do that. If this was a helpful video for you and you got value from this, please do me a big one, hit subscribe, you know, give me the thumbs up, give me a comment, be like, this was awesome, or tell me it was terrible. Like, you can be honest. And if you want more videos like this, you can check out my channel, and I've got other stuff too. Have a good one.